This week we have a lot to share with you. Be prepared for some gobsmacking incompetence. Thank heavens that MAN Truck sorted out the engine mounts and engine access, making things a lot more simple than the mess that East Coast Scratch and Dent left us with. Hello my friends. It's been a couple of weeks since we broke bread and saw each other. And I'm going to start this insert by letting you know that we have been given a quote to sort out this absolute mess. And due to absolute incompetence in the past, lack of knowledge, you name it, we have now got to huss. By the time it's all done, it's going to be around about 100,000 Rand. I would be standing here telling you I'm looking for somebody to buy this if it were not for this anonymous donation we received. Without those funds, this is no exaggeration, we could not do this. I would not be here. This journey ends. It would end. But we can continue, and it was a very generous donation. This is a far cry from the space that Mirai was initially built in. Everything here has its place. There is order. Clively Engineering it's a big setup. It really is. There's a lot going on here. They've got all these different departments, and Mirai's engine is in little bits and pieces. I have no idea what any of them are. The man who is looking after our engine at this stage of things is Anton Joubert. I think I can say with some confidence that this guy knows what he is doing. Some of the so-called mechanics who initially worked on Mirai probably thought that a shifting spanner was a micrometer. Watching somebody like Anton Joubert there behind us is fascinating, because it's the first time I'm seeing this. And once again, this is after nearly 4 years of a build, which included stuff like supposedly having an engine overhauled. Over here we have the engine block bay. And here is our engine block, in line, waiting to be skimmed. Next door is this setup, the engine assembly workshop. Over here, neatly laid out, are Mirai's innards. This area is spotless. Everything has its place. There is a sense of order and professionalism. Once again, this is also the very first time I am seeing that. I mean, everything is laid out beautifully. I remember there was a time these were laid out way back. It wasn't like this. In fact, it was in March 2022 when Mirai's innards were last on display. As you can see, a very different situation. I suppose something I really want to come out of these videos is to prevent other people being ripped off like Mariki and I have been ripped off. I mean, seeing the way that stuff should have been done from day one is an absolute eye-opener. And when you get people like us who know nothing about this kind of stuff, we are gullible and naive and very easy to take for a ride. So advice to anybody who is not mechanically minded: when you do embark on something, even if it's not as massive as what we took on with Mirai, check, double check, get somebody in who you think knows what they're talking about to advise you. Where we saw our asses is that I really thought the people who I went to advise us knew what they were talking about. They just didn't. These days, knowing that we are in good hands does make things more easy to digest. The spares needed to get Mirai up and running are slowly arriving. Even at this stage of things, we are still being ambushed by the incompetence of the past. I have a couple of things that I need to share with you. And the first one I will address is our radiator. Now, let me just show you this. I was referred to a company called Piston Radiators and Auto Glass by Bram Pretorius from East Coast Scratch and Dent, and that was in March 2022. I took my radiator there, I gave it to these guys. Just keep in mind, I know nothing about these things. They charged me 9,136 Rand and 75 cents to recall MV Mercedes-Benz bus A0352 copper radiator and put 5 liters of antifreeze in. We then went across to Man Trucks. Radiator was taken out. There were issues with the radiator. Radiator in November 2023 went to Silverton Coastal Radiator. Now this is a company that Bram said I mustn't use. So Silverton overhauled the Mercedes radiator. They replaced the side bands, they cleaned the intercooler, which it's a brand new intercooler, so I'm not sure why they wanted to, and they did a pressure test and they charged me $950 just for that. But that bill came to 3,622 Rand and 50 cents. So we are sitting with a radiator that we have spent almost 13,000 Rand on, and for all intents and purposes it may not be the correct radiator. In fact, it is not the correct radiator for this engine. Right, we are now going to talk about pistons. On the 30th of October 2021, I bought a whole lot of bits and pieces for the engine overhaul to get our engine pillar sorted. Good engine. Anyways, I spent 10,551 Rand with a company called Mopani Transport Pty Limited, and on that list there was piston and rings ADE 352 standard. Okay, those pistons came back and suddenly the guys realized, oops, there's a big mistake. These are standard pistons, they must change it to turbo pistons. And there was some rigmaroling done and what, and I was told by Bram and Piet Badenhorst that the guys at BG Engineering had put in turbo pistons. Anton removed the pistons from our engine here. They are not turbo pistons. Turbo piston, the pistons that were in, these are the wrong ones. These are the wrong pistons that they had in. That is the right piston, all right? The piston issue was picked up by East Coast Scratch and Dent way back in October of 2021 by Piet Badenhorst.
You can see all the marks here. That's overheating marks. You see a piston there?
Yeah.
This engine had been before, was heated up before.
So that just overheated, you say?
Yeah, definitely.
This is a good time to play an interview I did with Bram regarding our pistons. Okay. And now what we're going to do now with the engine, what's next?
We're going to strip the block out. We're going to send the block to BG Engineering to Anthony.
Okay.
He has to rebore it to fit the new pistons, the turbo pistons.
Okay. So Bram told us he had the new pistons for a turbo motor and that BG Engineering was supposed to have installed them. So somebody screwed up here, big time. And Mariki and I are paying the price. So once again, this just highlights how vulnerable Mariki and I have been to bullshit. Bullshit that was fed to us by people who we trusted, who we thought, we just presumed that they knew what they were doing. We are getting there. Before the new parts can be installed, we need to skim our engine block. Clive Lee's engineer, Anton Joubert, is a budding cameraman, it seems, and he sent me this footage of the engine block being skimmed. I asked him how things are progressing.
So far we've decked the block, we skimmed the block on the surface. I had to cut away the bottom sleeve step that was there to ensure that we can cut the inside to fit the correct sleeve inside. Remove the small ends, the old ones, and we've got the new ones. I just need to fit them in, and on the crankshaft just to polish it. But so far the parts came and I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
If I were to ask you, what sort of a time frame are we looking at until we can have this installed? I know we got some cooling issues to attend to.
Yes.
But from your side?
Most probably on my side will be before next week Friday. All engineering work will be done.
This is good news indeed. I am getting used to the mind-boggling shoddy work that we have been handed in the past. Here is a supreme example of that cuck work. Here are our new piston sleeves. Now let me show you the turbo piston sleeves that Anton removed. Here they are. He had to cut them out. That's why they all graunched like that. But just look here. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Turbo sleeve. BG turbo sleeve. Just when I thought I had heard everything, Anton shared a real humdinger with me. This is the sleeve, the old sleeve. This was in the engine block. They didn't even remove it. BG bored this thing. So this was thicker. They bored this thinner. So according to Anton, the sleeves were never removed from the engine block. The turbo pistons were never installed. Standard pistons were installed. This was an accident waiting to happen, and happen it did. Those of you who have been following our journey for a long time will know that in, I think it was July last year, we did our official launch. We had dancing girls and everything, you know. We thought that our build was over. And at that reveal, I made a little speech, and we had a local newspaper there and everything. And in that speech, I said, you know, what has happened here at East Coast Scratch and Dent just shows you that you don't need like all these big centers and that to achieve something amazing. Yo, hey? Yeah, if I could take back that little speech, I would. Because, man, since then, you all know we have been kicked, and we've been kicked hard. And it is on that note that I am going to end this episode. So hopefully you heard from Anton. In a week's time the engine will be assembled. Then we will start to look at that radiator debacle. Yeah. Okay, that's it, my friends. You must please, man, look after your families, look after yourselves, look after your possessions, and above all, you just keep safe. Okay, keep safe.